1 connect 4 connect 1. One connect 1 off. One connect 1 on. Welcome to the VE3MIS 2-meter repeater. The time is 8 p.m.
VA3HES, VE3XBH. Okay. I was kind of wondering there, Mark, because I just went to key up and I didn't get a response from it. Mark, thanks for that. And yeah, on Friday, I was actually thinking that it had been behaving itself quite well. The tail wasn't really a problem during the net on Friday, so I don't know, maybe I jinxed it. VHES, VE3XBH. Okay, Mark, thanks. And we will start the Aries net in about a minute or so. Good evening. This is Victor Echo 3, X-Ray Bravo Hotel. My name is Brian, and I'm your controller this evening for the Mississauga Amateur Radio Emergency Service Net. The purpose of this net is to pass Aries-related traffic and items of interest to the Aries group. When checking in, please announce your call sign using phonetics, followed by your first name. Before we commence any general check-ins, is there any emergency or priority traffic only? Come now, please. Nothing heard. Are there any general check-ins for the Mississauga Aries net? Please come now with your call sign and name.
Victor Alpha 3, Tango, Zulu, Shark.
Victor Alpha 3, Hotel Echo Sierra, Mark.
Okay, I heard two stations in there, VA3HES, and top of the list, VA3TTZ, Jock. Come on in, Jock.
VE3XPH, VA3TTZ. Good evening, Brian, and everybody on the net tonight. How are you, Brian?
VA3 TTZ VE3XPH. I'm doing okay, Jacques. How are you this evening?
I am well, thank you. I was just prior to this net. I was receiving 443.900 on my 2-meter Yagi antenna. Isn't that interesting?
Say again, Jacques, you were receiving what?
I was receiving frequency 443.900 on my homebrew 2-meter antenna.
Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of interesting. Was it a good signal?
Was a 5.9 signal, very clear. So I'm a little puzzled that it was there and so clear. Have you ever experienced that?
No, because that was tuned for 2-meter, right?
Well, it's a 2-meter antenna, but it's a UHF 70 centimeter frequency.
Yeah. No, with the antenna being tuned for 2-meter, it would seem that it may pick up 70 centimeter, but I would think that the level would be way down.
No, it was absolutely clear. They're probably still there, but I tuned to our net, Aries net tonight. So, I know it can happen, but to that level of clarity, it was amazing. Puzzling also. Anyway, I don't want to take too much of your Aries time, but this is VA3 TTZ, back to net control.
One other question, Jacques. Did you get a location of them? Were they? Was the transmitter close to you? Because maybe just the level may have caused that if they were close.
I don't know. It's a net, so I'm not sure where they are. I'm not sure I could transmit back to them because of the antenna itself. But after this Aries net, maybe I'll go back and just listen and see where they could be located.
That might be worthwhile doing just out of curiosity. Okay, Jacques, thanks for checking in. And with that, let's go to Mark, VA3HES. Come on in, Mark.
Good evening, Brian and Jacques, and all who may be listening. Victor Alpha 3, Hotel Echo Sierra. Not much going on here. Had a full day just north of the city, crimping 50-amp power poles with a big crimper, so my hands are killing me. And had a little bit of a scramble there getting ready. As you found, the repeater was disconnected for some reason, and I thought something was wrong with my new radio here in the shack, so I actually ran out to the car. And it was easier to punch in DTMF with that. But otherwise, nothing else to report. Just getting ready for some field day activities this weekend. Back to you.
VA3HES, VE3XPH. Okay, Mark. Actually, you always question whether it's not your own radio. I had problem on Monday. I often check into the Northern Ontario net, and it's on D-Star, and I use a hotspot here in the house, and Monday I couldn't connect, so I thought, well, okay, maybe the radio's not working right, and I could connect to other gateways, and then I thought, well, maybe the hotspot's not connecting, and went through all this and rebooted everything and double-checked everything, and then later on everything came back up, and I believe the network was down, so I did the same thing. I kind of doubted everything that I had, and turned out it wasn't that at all.
If it wasn't easy, it wouldn't be ham radio. Hi.
That's the challenge, so. Okay, anything else for that, Mark?
No, nothing except for we are live on YouTube yet again, and be standing by for the usual Tuesday night net. That's all for now, Brian. Back to you.
Okay, Mark. Thanks for checking in with us, and I'm sure we'll hear you on the Tuesday night net. I will mention at this point that this is the last net for the Aries net, at least for the summer. We'll decide in September whether or not we're going to continue. I don't really expect that we will. The net was really for sort of a COVID check-in net, and we seem to be well on our way. So hopefully by September we probably won't need the net. So just a reminder to anybody who may be listening, this is the last of the Aries net. But the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club net usually takes a break during the summer and will return in September. Okay, and with that being said, I'll see. Is there anyone else that'd like to check into the Mississauga Aries net? Come now.
Victor Alpha 3, X-Ray Lima Juliet. My name is Vanya.
Victor Alpha 3, Golf Delta Zulu.
Okay, I heard two stations in there, VA3 GDZ and VA3 XLT. Come on in, please. And can I get your name again?
The call sign is Victor Alpha 3, X-Ray Lima Juliet, and my name is Vanya. It's my first time that I'm joining you on the net. Actually, I just stopped by to say hello and to give you the quick check-in. I'm located in Stony Creek, Highway 8 in the Grays Road area. So the repeater is coming in a little bit scratchy, and out of previous 3 participants, I could only hear net controller on my on reverse, and he's coming also scratchy with S2 or 2 bars on my radio.
Okay, VA3XLJ, I got correction on your call sign in there, Vanya. And good signal off the repeater from you, no problem there. I did take a quick listen to you on direct, and kind of scratchy from Stony Creek, but I could copy you on direct, but the signal was, I would say, probably about 3 by 3.
Thank you very much. So I guess I'm gonna say goodbye and 73 to you guys, and I'll stay here and listen for the reminder of the net.
VA3 XJL, VE3XPH. Okay, Vanya, thanks for checking in with us, and I'll just mention that the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday night net is on this repeater, and it'll be starting at 8:30. So you're more than welcome to check into that if you're around for it. Thanks again for checking into the Aries net. With that, let's go to VA3 GDZ. Come on in.
Good evening there, Brian. It's Gary, Victor Alpha 3, Golf Delta Zulu from Central Etobicoke. I just caught in a bit late, coming in from another net, and
Heard you mention this is the last Aries net. Just wanted to thank you for doing them. I think it's appropriate during the COVID period. I mean, when you talk about Aries, it's amateur radio emergency service, and boy, if we haven't been in the biggest emergency in a heck of a long time due to this COVID mess, I don't know what is. I'm surprised it doesn't come up more often in a lot of the other Aries groups. Anyways, I'll have more comments and questions for you, but I'll wait till we hopefully could meet in person sometime, perhaps in the fall, or there'll be field days or swap shops or ham fests or something. But we'll get back to a more normal situation. Certainly by the fall, get the kids back to school, get me into some restaurants and on golf courses. That'll be nice. Okay, back to you there, Brian. Thanks for doing it. I'll probably check in a few minutes in the Mississauga Club Net, too. This is Victor Alpha 3, Golf Delta Zulu, Gary in Central Etobicoke.
VA3 GDZ VE3 XVH. Okay, Gary, thanks for checking in with us, and you've checked in quite a few times during this net, and always good to hear from you. And yeah, looking forward to being able to meet in person, face to face. A lot of call signs and names we've been hearing, and it'll be kind of nice when we get back to something a little bit more normal, and we can put a face to those voices we hear over the radio. So, thanks again for checking in with us, Gary. Okay, with that, we're at the bottom of the list. Is there anyone else that'd like to check into the Mississauga Aries net? Please come now.
VA3 TTZ, recheck.
VA3 TTZ, Jacques, go ahead with the recheck.
VE3XVH, VA3 TTZ. Brian, I also want to thank you for the commitment you put into the Aries net on Tuesdays and your involvement with Aries as well. So with that, thank you, and I'll send it back to you. I don't think I will be on the 8:30 net, but we'll see. This is VA3 TTZ.
VA3 TTZ VE3 XVH. Okay, Jacques. Thanks for thanks for that. Certainly my pleasure. I've enjoyed doing the net these past nights, and it's good to hear from everybody. So it's kind of nice to hear those voices coming over. So thanks again for that. Okay, we're at the bottom of the list, and I guess I'll make one last call. Is there anyone else that'd like to check into the Mississauga Aries net? Come now, please. Okay, nothing heard. So again, I'll mention that this is the final Aries net. So we'll until September, and we'll kind of decide in September. I don't expect it's gonna continue, but we'll make that decision in September. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining us this evening. This is Victor Echo 3 X-Ray Bravo Hotel closing the net and returning the repeater to normal use. Thank you all for your participation. Good evening, 7-3, and stay safe, everyone.
VE3MIS repeater.
today, listed.
VA3ZA, VE3XPH.
VE3XPH, VA3ZA. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Very good, Brian. How are you? I thought I heard you. I was away from the radio.
Oh, Roger. Yeah, I didn't quite make it back for the net, but I was testing to see if everything was going, and everything seemed to be working for you. Over to you.
Yeah, we're all good. I was talking to Mark a little earlier, and for some reason the repeater was shut down, and he brought it back up, and seems to be okay. So something was a little bit unusual just before the Aries net, but it's all been taken care of and seems to be working okay.
Roger. Oh, that's kind of weird. Maybe, that's funny. Maybe there was a power outage and something didn't come up right away. Sometimes some of the power supplies can be configured to not turn on. But that's some speculation. I saw Mark had a message there. I was going to check the computer too to see if it had been reset. But anyway, at least it's working. That's good. So we should have RF check-ins over to you.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny because I was mentioning to Mark that on Friday during the TechNet, I was thinking that the repeater had been behaving itself so well. I said maybe I jinxed it.
Oh, Roger. Oh, well, you never know what's up. It must be hot up there, though. Not today, but I imagine last week it must have been really hot. It was like 28 or 30 degrees here, so I never know. Maybe something didn't like it. Anyway, Brian, I'll wait around here until 8:30, and then I'm going to do the net, and I guess we'll talk to you then. Over to you.
Okay, Brian, sounds good. I'll be talking to you again during the net, so I'll let you go. VA3ZA. This is VE3XPH, clear.
Echolink DECHLINK conference.
VE3MIS.
Good evening. This is Victor Alpha 3, Alpha Zulu Alpha. My name is Brian. I am the controller tonight for the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday Night Net. This net is available on the club's VHF repeater and Echo Link between 20:30 hours and approximately 21:45 hours local time in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. It is also streamed live on YouTube, where archives of previous nets can be found. Stand by, please. To participate in the net on the VE3MIS VHF repeater, tune 105.430 MHz with a negative 600 kHz offset and a 103.5 Hz tone. To participate on Echo Link, connect to the TechLink conference, node number 9229. And to listen live on YouTube and comment, search YouTube for VE3MIS. Stand by, please. If you would like to find out more about the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club, visit our website at www.ve3mis.ca. That's Victor Echo 3, Mike India Sierra, Charlie Alpha. Our email address is Victor Echo 3, Mike India Sierra at Romeo Alpha Charlie Alpha. Stand by, please. Mississauga Amateur Radio Club meets virtually via Zoom conferencing software on the 2nd and 4th Thursday of each month. Our meetings emphasize comradeship and learning and are open to guests and visitors. We see our website to learn how to join virtual meetings. Non-members who wish to attend should email to VE3MIS at rac.ca to obtain instructions for virtual admission. Stand by, please. Just before we get started on the net tonight, I have a few little announcements. And I guess the big one for tonight, I think, is that we are just at the weekend of the ARRL Field Day event, which is this weekend. It is the 26th and 27th, I think. But, yeah, 26th and 27th this week, Saturday and Sunday, I guess. And there'll be lots of fun with that. So stand by, please. Also, for this evening, we do have a question, which is entirely optional, and feel free to consider it or answer it. And we'll give you the details to that question right now. Stand by, please. In most things we do, the unanticipated always manages to show up, maybe even during some nets. If someone were writing the unofficial guide to ham radio, which of your experiences would merit a chapter? What would have been useful to know, but wasn't so easy to know at the beginning of your experience with amateur radio? The sorts of things you might put in such a book are not necessarily technical in nature. In fact, they might be as simple as how to find a list of clubs in your area. What chapter would you include in the unofficial guide to ham radio? Stand by, please. Okay, so I'm back again here. Sorry for so many pauses. If you're listening in, the reason I'm just trying to sort out an audio problem. I think I was having on my transmit audio, and I've actually switched over to a handset here from my computer. Anyway, okay, so let's see. This evening, the net will be conducted in 2 rounds: a check-in round and a 7-3 round. During the check-in round, check-ins will be called in 2 broad groups of traffic: short-time check-ins and general check-ins. Emergency check-ins will be taken at any time. Sometimes mobile RF and echolink check-ins may be called by themselves to reduce the risk of doubling. Please listen carefully and check in with a group that best matches your circumstances. Finally, avoid transmitting more than 1 minute without keying up to prevent system timeout. Stand by, please. Again, your controller for tonight's net is me, Brian, and my call sign is Victor Alpha 3 Alpha Zulu Alpha. When checking in, please announce your call sign using phonetics, followed by your first name. And let's see, we're going to go for some short-time check-ins first. We're looking for short-time check-ins, and I guess we'll call for RF. We'll call for RF short-time check-ins first. So if you're out there on RF short-time, come now, please. Okay, nothing heard on short-time RF. Let's see if there's any. Okay, let's take a look for mobile, I guess. We'll see if there's any mobile out there. If you're mobile on RF, come now, please. Okay, nothing heard on mobile. And let's try Echolink short time. If you're out there on Echolink and you'd like to get in right now, come now, please. Okay, nothing heard on short time Echolink. So, we don't seem to have anything here on short time. And let's go to our general check-in. So, I guess we'll call for RF general check-ins first. So, RF general check-ins, come now, please.
Victor Echo 3, X-Ray Bravo Hotel, Brian.
Victor Alpha 3, Hotel Echo Sierra, Mark.
Victor Alpha 3, Golf Delta Zulu, Gary.
Okay, Roger on that. So Net Control acknowledges 3 RF general check-ins from most recent to least recent. VA3GEZ Gary, VA3HES Mark, VE3XVH Brian, and I think I'm just gonna go and gather them all up first, and we'll go right to the top of the list with Brian once we've got everything gathered here. So that was general RF check-ins, and maybe we'll make a call for. Let's see. Well, we should do. Oh, let's do mobile. Anyone out there on mobile? We'll just see if there's anyone mobile. So if you're out there, RF mobile, come now, please. Okay, Roger. Nothing heard on RF mobile, and let's go right to Echolink. And this is a call for Echolink check-ins for the general round for the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club 2-meter net. If you're out there on Echolink and you'd like to check in, come now, please.
Okay, for HJQ. Oh boy, that Kyle. And from the west side of the Big Island, VK6022. Good morning. Victor Alpha 3, Kilo Kilo Yankee.
Okay, Net Control, returning and acknowledging VA3KKY, that was Kevin, VK6BQQ, that was Reg, and VK3HJQ, that was John. So that's like 6 check-ins here to start with. We'll go to the very top of the list of VE3XVH. That's Brian. Brian, over to you.
VA3AZA, this is VE3XVH, Brian in Mississauga. Good evening, Brian, and thanks for doing the net this evening, and hello to everybody on the net. Nice to hear Reg and John in there, and everyone else. Not much going on around here, Brian. Had some, the weather's been kind of nice, so I can't really complain. Had a little bit of rain, we really needed it, so certainly that helps. And other than that, we're just kind of playing a little bit on the radio, not an awful lot, and just kind of enjoying ourselves. So I'll send it back to you, VA3AZA, VE3XVH.
VE3XVH and VA3AZA, Net Controller training. Okay, Brian, sounds good. Yeah, it was kind of cool this morning, I guess, wasn't it? It was really nice. I was out, I try to get out in the evening to go for a walk, and of course, the last couple of nights have just been amazing. in addition to being very cool, they were also very pretty. There's lots of red sky and interesting clouds and such. It was light until about 10 p.m., of course, because the days are so long here. Very enjoyable. Very, very nice weather here. Cool, though. Pretty cool for June 22nd. Anyway, I'm curious. I hope I'm sounding a bit better. I was getting some information from Mark that it was sounding a little crackly. I'll have to tell you a story about that next time around. But is it sounding better, Brian? Net control to VE3XVH.
VA3AZA, VE3XVH. Yeah, Brian, you're sounding a lot better than you were at the very top of the net. Much clearer. So all good.
VE3XVH, VA3AZA, net control returning. Yeah, okay, Brian. So I mentioned I switched over to my HT. Actually, I was on Echolink, and in an attempt to improve my my audio levels, I switched headsets to this headset that was the earphones a little bit mangled. So maybe there's more to it that's not in a good state. But so I switched to my old headset, and didn't do a very good job. But of course, the radio probably does a pretty good job. It gets a little hot if I talk too much. But yeah, so I'll have to retire the broken headset. I was actually last week I was using a new headset, and I tried raising the level after the net, and I couldn't get the level really very high. I was testing on Echolink, just didn't sound very good. I use it during the day for other purposes. I haven't had any complaints, but on Echolink it just did not sound very loud. So anyway, I abandoned it. And my backup didn't work because it was broken. That was the whole reason for buying the other set. But anyway, I hope I sound better. I'll just toss it back to you. Net control to VE3XVH.
Well, Brian, you're sounding really good right now. So so whatever. So you're using the handheld, so it might get a little bit warm. So. Give you a chance to let it cool a little bit, but yep, it sounds much better for sure. I find that some of the headsets and with Echolink, I had one that I just couldn't get enough level off of, and it seemed to work on other applications, but Echolink didn't seem to like it. So I had one headset that I had a problem with, but I've got a couple of other ones that seem to work okay, so I'll just kind of stick with them unless they die. So I'll send it back to you and let you get on with the net. VA3AZA, VE3XVH.
Amateur radio repeater VE3.
VE3XVH, VA3AZA, net control returning. Okay, Brian, so I'm not the only one. Okay, that's good news. So, well, I don't know now. I'll have to go on a hunt for something that works. Maybe I'll just order another replica of the original headset. I forget what it was, a Logitech, I think. It was quite a nice headset, and the other one was the new one's a Sennheiser. So the Sennheiser didn't work that well. Anyway, I think the guy who knows sound is next on the list, and I have something to tell him too about a movie I saw today. But that would be VA3HES, and that's Mark. And Mark will pass it over to you. Net control to VA3HES.
Good evening, Brian, and all on Net. Victor Alpha 3 Hotel Echo Sierra, Mark in Mississauga. Well, as far as your question about a book about ham radio, how about this one for maybe a title? If it was easy, it wouldn't be ham radio. Hi. Had some follies myself today, including an afternoon full of crimping 50-amp power pole connectors with a big crimper. So my hands feel like clamps right now. Not too much to report. Just starting to make some plans for field day weekend, and somebody ought to call that repeater manager, because the repeater today is being a little bit noisy. Touch wood, we had been fine for months with no noise, and I noticed over the weekend we were getting some sporadic noise coming through. But hopefully I'll be able to go up and take another look at it and spin the spanner, as the English would say. Back to you, Brian.
VA3HES, VA3AZA, net control returning. Okay, Mark. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. There's always a surprise in all this equipment, isn't there? And yeah, I guess you must be kind of tired from those. Those can be big connectors to work with. Anyway, I was thinking about you today because I was showing a movie in a class I do, and this movie was produced by the National Film Board, and it's available for free. You can go and look it up. It's called Nails, and this movie just has the most amazing sound at the very beginning. In fact, I recommend just going and listening to it for that very reason. The first few minutes of it. It's just the richest sound of this blacksmith going about his business, making nails. And I was thinking, my goodness, they must have the audio equipment for that recording must have been very expensive or very high tech, because there's a texture in the sound that, you know, I mean, I don't think I would hear even if it were, you know, if it weren't recorded. Anyway, I don't know if you, I know you're into the sound business, so you know quite a bit about that equipment. Net control to VA3 HEF.
VA3 HES returning. Well, that sounds pretty interesting. I'll have to go look it up. And you know, the people who do film sound are probably some of the I don't want to say pickiest, but pickiest would be the easiest word to reach for right now. The tools and microphones they use to pick up stuff on set and to do dialogue replacement stuff are some of the finest microphones in the world. Are made in the world, and it's amazing what you can get with this one microphone and a really good field recorder to tape. Though these days there is much magic done in post-production. But what was the name of that film again? Back to you, Brian.
VA3 HES, VA3 Net Control Training. Mark, the name of the film is Nails, and it's a short. So this is a classic Canadian production, for what Canadian cinema is good at shorts. 13 minutes long, and Nails, N-A-I-L-S, and it's about making nails. Well, it's actually, there's sort of a contrast between how it was done in the past and how it was done in the factory and the present, well, in 1979, I guess. But yeah, the first part of it is, like I'm telling you, yeah, picky. I can see the pickiness. I could just imagine what the sound people were talking about as they were putting together the sound for the first part of that movie. But it's really astounding. I'd recommend going and taking a listen. Anyway, I'll pass it back to you one more time here. Net control to VA3 HES.
VA3 HES returning. Well, thank you, Brian, and I will definitely check it out. And you were saying it was made in '79. They probably wouldn't have more than a Neumann or a Sanken or maybe a Sennheiser microphone and a Nagra recorder, because the little Nagra recorders were pretty much de facto standard up until probably the early '90s when they started going digital. Now, if you look at a film recording engineer, it looks more like the IT department than recording equipment. And I'll be around for the second round. Back to you, Brian.
VA3 HES, VA3 Net Control Training. Okay, Mark, we got you down here for a second go, and yeah, that sound business is pretty digital. I can imagine what some of those labs must look like for post-production work. Lots of equipment. Okay, let's go down to VA3 GBZ, and that is Gary. And Gary, I guess you heard my question for this evening. Maybe you had some thoughts on that. I'm just trying to dig it up here on a piece of paper. My question was basically this: what chapter would you include in the unofficial guide to ham radio if you were asked to contribute a chapter? Anyway, give it some thought. But we'll pass it over to you. Net control over to VA3 GBZ.
Good evening there, Brian, and to all on net and the people in the ham conference that are joining us. Always glad to have you guys. Yeah, I want to take a crack at your question, but first a few comments about COVID. We're still doing well. Cases are coming down, but more slowly now. It's like a declining exponential. It was coming down linearly. But Canada and Ontario still have the highest percentages people with one shot. Unfortunately, for two shots, we're only about half of the rate that the U.S. and the U.K. got, but it's coming up very fast. I'll say about my personal experience in a moment. And I'm wondering about this Delta variant. Still watching. The U.K. has 90% of their cases are Delta variant. U.S. only 20, and we're somewhere in the middle. But I'm hopeful that we can get our younger people with 2 shots, and that there's a disconnect between the number of cases and the number of people who end up in hospital. Because the UK is 4 times the rate at which they were at their minimum, and they're back to their February levels, and it's still going up. So that's a little bit of a concern, but I'm hopeful that there's a disconnect. And we did get our second shot yesterday. I was able to snag an appointment, and I arrived at the time at 8 o'clock, and the guy looks at me and says, "Okay, sir, you can go to the back of the line." So all the appointment means is you're allowed to go to the back of the line, which in our case turned out to be 45 minutes long, but we've got it and we're happy. Let me let it drop for a sec. And to take a crack at your question for the unofficial guide, well, I definitely would say a chapter about don't be afraid to ask. There are so many great, knowledgeable people there. I remember when I was starting, G-Star was driving me crazy, and just 1 or 2 little tips from people on the air made the world a difference. Really improved the satisfaction and tentative stuff. So don't be afraid to ask. And also maybe a caution about the people you will meet. There are amazing people that you'll meet on the radio, and you'll make new friends and gain a lot of knowledge. But on the other hand, be prepared for the occasional person who's a spammer or a jammer or who may have strong political views that you shouldn't get entangled in or else. So those are a couple of the items I put in your unofficial guide. Good question. I hope to be around for the second round. Back to you, Brian. This is VA3, Golf Delta Zulu, Gary, West End of Toronto.
VA3 GDZ, VA3, today, net control returning. Okay, Gary, there, congratulations on the second shot. That's good. Too bad you had to wait in line, and I guess it was a little bit, it was kind of cool yesterday, but better than 30 degrees Celsius, I guess. But yeah, kind of funny the way it works. You have an appointment, that gives you an appointment there at the very end, but oh well, what can you do? At least it's done. But that's a great, I like that. That's a great chapter name. Don't be afraid to ask. That's excellent. And yeah, you're right. You can see, you can get everything you need just by asking and thinking about what you might ask. That's a good one. And that's right. Yeah, there are spammers and jammers, exponents of all kinds of areas of human experience, I guess, on radio. But actually, most of the time, you don't isn't it? But I guess you'd be able to be prepared for the possibility of meeting someone at some point. But I got you down for a second go here, Gary. That's great. And let's go over to John, VK3, HJQ. John in Australia. Hope all is well with you. I'll pass it to you.
My go, Brian, to go for HJQ.
Oh, Roger, John, maybe I said your call sign correctly here. VK3 HJQ, VK3 HJQ, over to you from Net Control.
Oh, you're right, Reg, I'm not listening. I'm doing 20 things at once, as usual. What would I put in a ham radio thingamajiggy? Be wary of the cost. No, I don't know what I'd add in there. Actually, Kevin asked a good question. What does the word net stand for? And I had around it everywhere on the internet trying to find what net stood for as far as ham radio is concerned. And it stands for network. I never knew that. I've had all these phishing connotations coming up everywhere, but yes, it actually stands for network, believe it or not. And anyway, I've got this new smart telly. Oh boy, it is smart. Obviously, I had set-top boxes on all my other large screen tellies, and the one in our dining room bit the dust. And a while ago now, I just had a large monitor connected with a set-top box. And I'm going to go and buy one of these new smart tellies. And oh boy, they're smart. You can do everything. You log onto the internet, and then it asks you for a passcode. The passcode that comes up on your phone, on your computer. So you log in with your PC, type in the code. Then it activates your TV via Wi-Fi remotely. It's also got Bluetooth in it. It's an absolute nightmare. I stayed up until 3 a.m. watching streaming movies last night. And I thought, I wonder how much download it uses for the movie. So if I guessed about 3 gig according to the internet, which worked out exactly what I worked out was about 6 gig for 2 movies. So, wowee. They're really... Oh, and it's also got voice prompt. It's got a microphone built into the remote, so you can say, it's a thing called Google Assist, so you can say, what's the temperature at Tallangatta? And it comes up, types in the text box, and it gives you the temperature, or, you know... Which you could do from your phone anyway. I don't know why I'm thinking this is so smart. I mean, it's been available for ages, but never had a microphone in the remote before that I can talk to the telly, so there you go. Thanks, Brian. Back to Ned, Nico, Trade, JQ.
VK3, HJQ, VA3, net control returning. Okay, all right, John, excellent. Yeah, that's microphone in the remote. That sounds pretty good. Of course, we're so accustomed now. We've got microphones everywhere. You have to be careful what you say. But now your television is listening to you as well. Well, I guess we're kind of used to that from the various those home control devices. But yeah, cost. There's a good chapter. Maybe that's a chapter that shouldn't go in. But I have to look at the cost of having all those interesting little toys. It's amazing how much you can do with a small amount of money. If you're careful and look around. I remember I bought my HF rig. I bought used, and it's a very basic rig, and it wasn't very much money. I think it turned out to be pretty good value. That plus a little antenna, and away you go. Anyway, we got you down here for a second go too, John. You might be, I don't know, you might be busy. We'll call you anyway. If you're here, that's good. If not, that's okay. But we'll give you a call in the second round. And let's go down to VK6 BQQ. And that's Mr. Reg. Reg, I hope all is well with you this evening. Over to you.
Net control, VK6 BQQ, West Australia. Good morning. Well, things are not too bad here. We had rain overnight, overcast again today, cool. I think it got down to about 2 degrees Celsius this morning. The coldest it's been here so far this winter, but anyway, it beat 6 feet of snow and 40 below. On your question there, I find the KISS mode works, so that should be put in there. And folks should maybe learn a little more electronics, basic circuits, etc. So that would help in perhaps building, which a lot of the amateurs are getting out of doing. You can get things off the shelf so easy, and you pay and so on and so forth. But actually building something, make it work. So that's my comments for today. Back to net, VK6BQQ. Good morning.
VK6 BQQ, VA3, AZA, net control returning. Okay, Reg, that's a good principle for design. Keep it simple, the KISS principle. Yeah, kind of like a guiding light, in a lot of problems that we're faced with. When you don't know the solution, look for the simplest solution. Look for the one that has the fewest number of parts. I wholly agree. You can't kind of overstate that one. And the electronics too. My goodness. Actually, speaking of electronics, I'm not a guy with an electronics background. I always liked it, but something you should try to learn more and more about as you go along. But speaking of electronics, I did do my homework last week. Last time we spoke, we talked about reverse burst. And you asked me about reverse burst on this radio. And I couldn't find it in my top-level memory, so I went digging and digging and digging. I don't think it does it. At least I can't find a control, and I'm wondering if maybe it has a different name, implemented with different names on different brands of radio. But, so then I was reading all about it over there at the repeater builder, too, and how it was used to shut off the audio with a change in phase. So you were being a good Elmer. You stimulated my curiosity, and I went and I learned something, so good for you. And that control over to VK6 BQQ.
Yeah, very good. Well, if somebody can learn something a day, there's 365 days in a year, you're going to learn that. So, but the repeater's getting some noise in it by the sound of it, because the stroke threshold changes. So you might have to look at that. Does your club have a what we call a service monitor.
VK6, BQQ, VA3A today, attorney. Reg, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. There might be one at the station, but I don't know. Maybe Mark might know that. Maybe he can tell us how the cycle go. But I'm not. There's something that tells me we do, but I don't think it's at our site. I think it's at maybe our site. Anyway, we'll find out. And maybe there's a role for that in discovering some of the noise issues. Over to you.
Yeah, QSL. When you're doing a net and you're on RF, that squelch burst comes back out. Makes it very hard when you're wearing a headset. Anyway, if you don't have one, rent one. And HP has test sets. You can see what's going on. You can measure, and you can get a reverse burst. Set the private line or the... You see, private line was Motorola's way of sending tones out to make things happen. GE was called Channel Guard. The norm is the CTCSS, continuous tone. So you might want to check into that. Put the repeater on CTCSS. Make sure it's working, and you'll get rid of that noise. And of course, the users have to put their reverse burst on the radio itself, or the user equipment. So there's ways around it. But if you don't have a test set, rent one and go and get it fixed. That's the thing to do. Back to net. VK62.
VK6, VQQ, VA3A today, net control returning. Okay, Rich, yeah, I'm going to play around there with that, how that CTCSS works. It's funny, actually, that's the generic name for it, isn't it? CTCSS. And the particular implementations were PL, I guess. One company called it PL, and the other called it Channel Guard, I think. So kind of interesting, lots of terminology to sort out. It reminds me, my dad was a pharmacist, so I was familiar with the idea of generic names for drugs and then brand names as well. But I think it's the same thing in every industry. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us here on the first round. We'll keep you on the list for the second. Let's go down to Mr. Kevin, VA3KKY. Kevin, come on in. I heard you had a question there. I didn't see it that you thought might be suitable for the unofficial guide to ham radio. Net control to VA3KKY.
I don't remember. I initially had said, I was just basically saying, hey, what's been going on lately? And I was asking, like saying what's been going on in the ham cons lately, because I hadn't really been around to get in locally with people. So I was just trying to catch up with things real fast. Because usually, you know, random times through the day or whatever, I try to get in on people and talk or whatever, but I just hadn't really done that in forever. And other than just checking in on a few nets. So that's what I was kind of talking about. Otherwise, yeah, the 101 ZB is common stolen out of vehicles. A lot of vehicles get that radio boosted from them. I don't know, probably I'd add something about, you know, using your hearing more, because a lot of times hearing kind of helps. You know, you kind of pick up a lot of things. So you learn a lot by listening. Don't just listen only, but do a lot of it, you know? And so maybe we could work that in there somewhere. Anyway, please keep me on the list, and I'll turn it back to that. Thanks a lot. VA3KKY.
VA3KKY, VA3A today, net control return. Okay, Kevin, that's a good point. Yeah, and you bring up the whole, I guess we would call it sometimes active listening. Active listening. So, yeah, as you say, obviously, you want to do more than listen. You do want to participate by speaking when opportunities arise, but pay attention to how people communicate and be engaged in the whole listening process. Yeah, for sure. That's excellent advice. And it's hard to do sometimes too. I guess everyone, maybe you get a little bit older, sometimes you lose that capacity. Sometimes even when I'm reading, I've lost a little bit of it. Where small things will distract me, and I'll miss miss important details. But yeah, active listening for sure is a gateway to learning. No question about that one. So there's another chapter for the unofficial guide to ham radio. We'll keep you on the list here too for a second go, Kevin. Let's see. Well, let's make a call out for anyone else who may have joined us and would like to check into the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday Night Net. And we'll do RF first, and then we'll come back and do a little more Echolink, and then we'll go back up to the top of our list. So, if you're out there on RF only, and you'd like to check in, come now please with your call sign spelled phonetically, followed by your first name.
Victor Echo 3 Whiskey Bravo Foxtrot, Barry, over.
Victor Alpha 3 Mike Alpha, Dan.
Okay, and net control acknowledges two check-ins there. VA3MA, and that's Dan, and VE3WBF, that is Barry. I'm just going to gather up some echo links, and then we'll go back up to Barry, and we'll go through this little list. So if you're out there on echo link and you'd like to check into the general round of the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday Night Net, come now please with your call sign spelled phonetically, followed by your first name. Echo link only, please.
If you will please, I'll be...
Okay, net control acknowledges VK2DY, and that is Robert. Well, let's see. We've got Robert was the most recent check-in, VK2DY, and then we had Dan, VA3MA, before Robert, and we had VE3WBF, Barry, in the first of that group of three. So we'll go up to Barry, and we'll see how Barry's doing this evening. Net control to VE3WBF.
Net control, this is VE3WBF. I'd like to say hello to everybody in the group. It was a nice day today. It was a little too cool for my liking. I actually had to put my fleece on today. It was about 17 degrees. But other than that, that was an uneventful day. And that's about all I've got for the net. VE3WBF, back to net control. Over.
VE3WBF, VA3ACA, net control returning. Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, in that cool weather, I took advantage of that too, and I was out a little bit there on my bike earlier today. And you know what? Even with the temperature down to whatever it was, 17 or 18, I was still getting a little warm. You know, I think I was going up too many hills there. I was with my son. For some reason, he doesn't get quite so challenged by the hills in the way that I do. It's not fair, is it? You know, if you're 14, things are a little easier than when you're 55. Anyway, we'll keep you on the list for the second go there, Barry, and we'll go down to Dan, VA3MA. Dan, over to you.
Yeah, it's Dan, VA3MA. Good evening, everybody. And it's nice to see some activity here. To your unofficial guide, the Sam Radio, I suggest you just get on the air. We're finding a lot of guys who are listening, and nobody was saying CQ or anything like that. And just, for $300 you can get a nice HF rig, put up a wire antenna, doesn't have to be anything fancy, and just get on the air every day and make one contact, and you'd be surprised how much you'll learn and how more confident you become. So VA3MA, back to net control.
VA3MA, VA3ACA, net control returning. Okay, Dan. Yeah, actually, that's good advice. Get yourself on the air and don't procrastinate. Don't wait for the perfect piece of equipment. Don't wait for the perfect day. Don't wait for the perfect conditions. Any of that stuff. Just get yourself something that works and use it. And it's true. It's not. It's not. If you want to do HF, it's not really that expensive to acquire a radio to do it. And that's a good way to approach it as well. Okay, we'll keep you on the list, Dan, for a second go too. And let's go down to VK2DY, and that is Robert. Robert, I hope all is well with you. You may or may not have heard our question for this evening is, what chapter would you include in the unofficial guide to ham radio if such a book were to be written? Anyway, we'll pass it over to you. Net control to VK2DY.
VE3. This is Robert, VK2DY, in Kelly Ridge, New South Wales, followed by the urban sprawl that is Sydney. 14 degrees Celsius, overcast, probably going to get into the 17, 18 degrees before the day is through, but not too bad for this part of midwinter here. At least the days are getting longer. We're 6 seconds longer than we were on Monday, so that's a full 6 seconds. I didn't notice it, though, surprisingly. Anyway, other than that, what would I include? Oh, yeah, one more thing. Sydney is back in masks. So the whole of the Sydney area now, if you go out to shopping or anything, you're supposed to wear a mask because we've had 20-some cases now of COVID pop up. So it's enough that they decided to put the whole 32 local governments under mask orders. Anyway, to the question, I would really include information on digital communications. Things we were just having a conversation in the text box here about color codes and talk groups on DMR. And I think all those things are really confusing to people who come in with no background in in something like DMR. So I think it would be definitely useful to include information about DMR and D-Star and the differences and things like that. It's a fun world, but it's confusing. Anyway, thank you again for taking my check-in. VK2DY, back to net.
VK2DY, VA3A today, net control returning. Okay, Robert. That's something. I was thinking a little bit about that one before the net, actually, though. More information about digital, and it's funny because Gary, actually, VA3GDZ, he did talk about the struggles of getting D-Star working until he found someone to give him a little bit of guidance. And I would, from my own limited experience with DMR, I think DMR is even more challenging. It can be quite, you have to fiddle around with it a while until you kind of get the model right in your mind. But definitely, maybe there's room for more depth in the discussion of some of those. So that, I mean, you can't. I guess if you're preparing people, you can't go all the way into every detail. But color codes. I think color codes came up in the text book. Maybe you mentioned that color codes in DMR and. I know the thing that always gave me trouble in D-Star was the UR, meaning the call sign of the other end of the conversation, UR. All sorts of little things like that. Once they get straightened away, everything goes sort of smoothly. Anyway, excellent. Yeah, excellent suggestion. Okay, and to your 6 seconds. Your days are 6 seconds longer. Well, use your time wisely. Make sure you use those 6 seconds wisely. Someone told me that years ago when I noted the days are getting long, so... I tried to use my time wisely. Just going to take a quick break here. Standing by. Okay, VA3A today is back. All right, Robert, we'll keep you on the list here for a second go. And actually, I think I'm down to the bottom of the list. Maybe I'll make another call here for anyone in Echolink or RF. If you're out there, Echolink RF, just at the end of the first round. General check-in round of the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club Tuesday night net. If you'd like to join us, come now please with your call sign, spelled phonetically, followed by your first name. Okay, nothing heard. And just checking the tax box here. I see VK3HJQ is talking about modes and APRS. Yeah, APRS is kind of neat. I know in the ham study guide for the first license here in Canada, there's some limited discussion of these modes, but it's I mean, maybe there could be a little bit more. It's sort of hard to take it all in, I guess, in one shot when you're sticking it all in the chapter. But APRS certainly very interesting. Okay, let's go back up to the top of our list. And we've got Brian there, VE3XBH, and we're looking. This is our 7-3 round. We're just looking for any closing comments, and we'll pass it to Brian first. Net control to VE3XBH.
VA3AZA, VE3XBH. Well, Brian, I kind of missed answering your question in the first round, so everybody's kind of answered a lot of stuff, covered a lot of stuff that I might have thought of. But I guess the thing is, get on the air and don't be afraid. You're going to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to make some mistakes. You've got a whole. I found that. Between the club members themselves and just generally people on the air, you ask a question and there's a wealth of knowledge out there, and a lot of people, there's everybody's willing to help you out and give you some suggestions. So that's I guess what I would add to that. Don't be afraid to make some mistakes. You probably learn more from your mistakes than you do from your successes. So. Other than that, I just had a little quick, this is probably more for Reg's benefit that I was going to mention. I'll drop for a second. I was just going to mention that on the weekend we had a flyover of the Waterloo Warbirds, and it was a tribute to all the frontline workers for COVID, and they were flying T-33, the Havilland Vampire, and an L-29 Delphin, and they did low pass over the city. I didn't get a chance to see them. I heard them go over the trees were in the way, so I didn't really get a look at them. But I certainly heard the engines and knew that it wasn't one of our regular aircraft in the area. But other than that, Brian, thanks for doing the net. I'll send it back to you and say 7-3 to everybody. Stay safe, stay well, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again. So back to you, Brian. VA3AZA, VE3XBH.
VE3XBH, VA3AZA, next controller training. Okay, Brian. Yeah, good advice. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. And you're kind of, you're in the direction too, Dan. Get on the air and try. And that's, generally the mistakes are often memorable. Sometimes even people no one likes to make mistakes in public, but most people are pretty generous and helpful, and they turn the mistakes into kind of a gold. It works out quite favorably. I was always astounded at how much people knew. Oh my goodness, I'm really overwhelmed. I'm still overwhelmed by the degree of expertise among the people in the hobby. It's and everything from the electronics to the mechanical part and to the theory. It's just I'm still amazed by that. There's so much expertise out there. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us, Brian. Always a pleasure to hear from you. And let's go down to Mark, VA3HES. Mark, come on in for the 7-3 round. Over to you.
VA3HES returning. Well, thank you, Brian. I have a comment from Lawrence, VE3HQM. He says, you're never too young for ham radio. He started at 13 and he was licensed at 15. In the year 1978, so he's had his license as long as I've been alive. Hi. And his first taste of ham radio was actually at the Ontario Science Centre, and he got to visit the ham station, which hopefully one day, once things open up, I'll be able to take my kids by to see. I'm dying to take them to the Science Centre. And like I said before, if it was easy, it wouldn't be ham radio. And 7-3, everyone. Hope some of you get to enjoy field day this weekend, whichever way you can, and look forward to hearing you on the air. And Brian XBH, just thank you again for hosting the Aries Net tonight. We had our last one for for the year, and we'll be revisiting if we start them again in the fall. But Brian, thank you for your work and dedication for all the area stuff that you do. Okay, Brian, back to you, and 7-3, everyone.
VA3 HES, VA3 AZ8, Net Controller 20. Okay, Mark, good to hear from you, and we'll say hello to Lawrence, that's great. So he started his journey when he was 13, I think you said, and that's fantastic. And I'm sure lots of people have had QSOs with the Ontario Science Center. I know I did. I don't know how long ago it was, but I once had a QSO with an operator there too, who was demonstrating for young people. So that's neat, and looks like it produced. I'm sure it's produced many hams, but I guess it kind of got Lawrence going in the hobby as well. Good. Well, let's go down to VA3 GDZ, Gary. And Gary, come on in for a 7-3 round with any closing comments. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you there, Brian. I enjoyed hearing the comments of others in response to your question. Reg's point certainly about if you try building something and then you turn it on and nothing happens. That's a teaching moment or a learning moment at least. Frustrating, but you sure do learn that way. Trouble is, we're in a disposable society. Much easier to throw something out and buy something new. And the comment about digital formats, they are definitely tricky. But once you get into it, they're pretty interesting. Trouble is, and it was a question that I asked as net controller, you do tend to fragment the ham community. Because you have people doing HF and people doing on the internet and people using digital modes, so it tends to fragment it. One last comment. Let me let it drop for a sec. Yeah, we're supposed to be getting, I think, about 4 or 5 days of rain coming up starting this weekend. That's really disappointing because we had beautiful summer-like weather back in May, and June was good. And I've been out to a patio, and the poor restaurants, they only have patios open here. They rely on people entirely, people who want to go golfing finally. A lot of people are camping up in Algonquin Park. No fun to be in a leaky, wet tent all weekend if it's raining. So let me know when summer really starts, because I want to rub it in to our friends there in Australia, because they rubbed it in on us when it's the middle of winter here, and they have 40 degrees Celsius down there. Good evening to all. This is Victor Alpha 3, Golf Delta Zulu Gary in west end of Toronto.
VA3 GDZ, VA3 AZ8, Net Controller Turning. Okay, Gary, actually, just as you were mentioning the weather, I was checking the forecast here. I hadn't noticed that Saturday, Sunday, and Monday looked like there's rain predicted. I think it's only 60% on Sunday, Monday, but Saturday looks like all day. Anyway, not a good time to be in a tent in Algonquin Park if you like to stay dry and you don't like to get eaten alive by mosquitoes too, by the way. But good to hear from you, and we'll listen for you next week as well. So thanks for joining us. Let's go down to VK3 HJQ, and that is John. John, if you're there, come on in for the 7-3 round. Let's see, is John still there? VK3. I don't think I see him on the list. I'm going to see if maybe he's in a conference. So John, come on in, give it a try.
From Big HJQ, just talking to Michael on Skype, the 7KI. What was going on? I don't know. I can bring the tech back into amateur radio. We've gone too far the other way now, having cornflakes box licenses, as I call them, where you just go answer a couple of questions and you get a license. Back in the early days, you had to do written exams, and know some theory. So people just basically get a license, buy a black box, plug it in, have no idea what's going on. So I reckon we need to bring the tech back in, get a bit more technical. And somebody mentioned about digital modes. Yeah, I hate digital modes, even though I use them, because digital's just yuck. No matter which way you twist it, bend it, or pull it, it's just yuck audio. I agree. It's regional. Although I don't use any radios anymore. I have basically just apps that run on my PC, so Echolink, All-Star, all the digital modes. I'm talking about digital, but I use them as well, even though I don't like them. SSTV runs on here, APRS runs on here, so everything runs on one PC now. Don't have actually any RF connection other than the 2.4 gig to the Wi-Fi to the internet. So no internet here, no ham radio for me. What else? Great net as usual. Thanks for letting me in, Brian. And my wife's just making up a cuppa, so I'm going to have a warm cuppa. VK3 HJQ back to net.
VK3 HJQ VA3 AZA net control trending. Okay, John. Yeah, the digital. There's lots of room for discussion of digital, I guess. But in such a publication. Yeah, some of them are more straightforward than others. But I guess as far as the audio goes, it sort of all basically works the same way with the principle of encoding it and sometimes sticking error correction on it. But the other stuff sometimes can be a little tricky. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us in the 7-3 round, and let's go down to Mr. Reg VK6 BQQ. Reg, if you dare come on in, thank you. If you dare come on in for any closing comments, over to you.
VA3AZA, BK6BQQ in the group. Yeah, a few comments there that had been made. People hear, but they don't listen. That's a big problem. And with all this digital stuff on the go, people need to sort out what they're actually doing. Echolink's been out for I don't know how many years, and they've just upgraded things. I find the audio is superb when you're using Echolink. Seems to work, but why are we getting so many people hooking up to different conferences and using digital, like your D-Star and All-Star and DMR and whatnot? Their audio is absolutely atrocious. They have no idea how to set levels. And the audio quality, if you're wearing a headset and trying to listen to a net, people coming in on all those other different modes, I just shut it off. It's as simple as that. If you're going to use Echolink, use Echolink and make it work. Levels seem to be the big problem. So I agree with John's comment. Amateur radio is a techie thing. Get into it and learn it. I'll get off the box. VK60QQ, good morning.
VK6BQQ, VA3AZA, net control training. Okay, Reg, yeah, for sure. You know what? Actually, the audio on Echolink really is great. It's excellent, and I think I've noticed that too. That usually you can kind of tell when someone is transcoding, as they call it, into Echolink. Sometimes it's more noticeable than other times, but when it's coming over from another mode, I guess there are probably several things that have to be considered. Levels, I guess levels would be the first thing, but that would seem to be a very important consideration. So, but it does sound great. I have to admit, Echolink. Gee, I'm sitting here on the at my term, or actually, I guess I'm RF and tonight, and everyone sounds very good with the coming across. Actually, Reg, you always sound good. You must have a great microphone there. But your level is correct, so you sound really good. Anyway, thank you for joining us, and always a pleasure to hear from you. Let's go down to Kevin, VA3KKY. Kevin, come on in for 7-3. Over to you.
Yeah, no problem. And I just have a kind of scratchy connector on my mic, so just so I'm aware of that. But anyways, the test was hard when I took it in '94, and things have changed. And so, understandably, years afterwards, examiners and radio clubs wanted to get more people interested on the air. That's how it was supposed to be. I mean, I don't think it's really happened on a large scale. You know, you still have tons of people complaining that repeaters are dead and stuff like that. But one of the big things that was supposed to jumpstart it was having all these new licensees, and they've changed the way, you know, you take your tests. But it used to be, it was kind of hard, you know, like even back with examiners, there would be like somebody on an examiner pool with like sometimes 6 or 7 others. That's how it was for me in 94. The guy at the CNIB, I know you guys in Toronto understand, they have a whole examination pool. Well, at the time it was a lot bigger because a lot more people were alive. So it was a big pool. They did, and it had to kind of go through them. But I don't know, now with radio clubs and stuff, it's totally different. So things have changed. So, yeah, but as far as dumbing it down, that's after things and later things that I never benefited from. Like, you know, when they dropped the code and stuff. I didn't see that. That was after me. So, interesting anyways. But I'll turn it back to Net, and thanks a lot. We'll be listening. So 7-3, you guys take care. VA3KKY, I'll let someone else have the mic. So back to Net. Thank you.
VA3KKY, VA3ASA control returning. Okay, Kevin, yeah, for sure. I guess the examination has changed considerably over the years. And, you know, the whole issue of code, I didn't have to do that. I did mine in 2011 or so that was not part of it. I guess that hasn't been for a little while, but I have to admit, sometimes I wish I did know it. Well, I do wish I knew it because I can hear it, obviously, in various places, and it would be kind of nice to know it. So, you know, sometimes it looks like it's a benefit, I guess, for people. They think, oh, gee, I don't have to learn that. That's good. That looks really hard. But then on the other hand, you kind of wish, oh, well, you know, I kind of wish I knew it because it is interesting. It's definitely, you know, one way of communicating. So an important one, too. And with a lot of historical significance. So anyway, yeah, things change. Sometimes seemingly for the better, but maybe not really in retrospect. Anyway, thank you for joining us tonight, Kevin. Always a pleasure to hear from you. And let's go down to Barry. We'll give him a try here. Barry, if you're there, come on in for the 7-3 round. Net control to VE3 WBF.
VA3AZA, this is VE3 WBF. I'm just staring out my window at what looks like it is a brilliant full moon out tonight. As to your sun-loving hills, I go for a bike ride. I went for one today, and yes, I too love hills. I just love going up, and it's a great exercise. Gets the heart going, keeps me fit. This is VE3WBF. Back to Net. Over.
VE3WBF, VA3ASA net control returning. Oh yeah, for sure, Barry. They'll give you a bit of exercise, that's for sure, and much more than, you know, when you go out and you walk. It's sort of you can kind of go easy on yourself. I suppose you can walk quickly if you want to raise the heart rate, but you know, when you're on the bike and you got to get up the hill, you notice it pretty quickly and have to work pretty hard. So, like I said, even though it was cool today, you know, I'm glad it was cool because over 28 degrees, I think I would have been really sweating trying to climb a couple of hills there that I was on in the park. Anyway, good to hear from you. And let's see, we're going to go down to Dan. I think we'll give Dan a try. I think he might be here. Dan, if you're there, come on in for the 7-3 round. Net control to VA3MA. Okay, nothing heard. I'm just going to try one more time. Victor Alpha 3, Mike Alpha. If you're there, Dan, come on in for a 7-3 round. Okay, nothing heard for VA3MA. And let's go down to Robert, VK2DY. Robert, we'll pass it to you. Net control to VK2DY.
VK2DY returning. Great net. Thank you for putting it on tonight, or this morning, or whatever it is, wherever we are. Really appreciate it. And yeah, it seems to be that the linking together of all these digital technologies is very popular now. I know there's two big systems out there that have, well, actually more than two, 3 or 4 big systems now that have multiple ways of getting in. In fact, the net that we moved to following this has about 7 different ways to get in. So I guess that's becoming the way of the future here. Maybe it's good because people are split too much over multiple systems, so just bring them all together on one system. Just did a curiosity check on how many hams are in Australia. 14,800, because I heard a newsline mention that the numbers have been declining, and yeah, that's it's under 15,000, so that is lower than it has been for quite a while. So we have to start doing something to reverse that trend. Anyway, thank you again for running the net, and 73 all, VK2DY.
VK2DY, VE3MIS net control returning. Okay, Robert, well, thank you for joining us. And yeah, that's for sure. There are lots of ways to bridge the various networks these days. I know the one, it seems like I hear it coming from DMR, probably in most places. And I find I can really distinguish that sound. I don't know if it's just levels, I'm not sure. But I think I've heard them coming into Echolink, heard All-Star coming into Echolink. Actually, we've had on this net, we've had that. And then on System Fusion, too, I've heard Echolink coming into System Fusion on some of the rooms and such. So, yeah, the bridging is quite extensive in some of these systems. But, you know, I guess that's where sometimes the levels can be an issue. Okay, well, that brings me down to the bottom of the list. And let's see if there's anyone else out there at the end of the 7-3 round for the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club 2-meter net. If you're out there and you'd like to check in, come now please with your call sign spelled phonetically, followed by your first name.
Victor Echo 7, Kilo India, Michael.
Victor Echo 3, Victor Delta Foxtrot.
Okay, net control acknowledges 2 check-ins there. The most recent was VE3VDF, and just before that was Michael, VE7KI. And Michael, good to hear from you. We'll pass it over to you, net control to VE7KI.
Yeah, trying to find my push to talk again there. Was on the wrong microphone. That's why it was so low. V7KI, 31 degrees here at 6:30 in the evening in north of Mission. And a little bit too hot for me. I think by the weekend we're getting up to 37 degrees, and I don't know where I'm going to hide from that. No air conditioning, but just picked up $1,300 worth of batteries for my solar bank. Tomorrow going in to get the chargers, and then next week I'll get the solar support, and probably have to stop spending $10 a day for electricity on my generator. So that'll be nice until it comes time to move it again. VE7KI, back to net.
VE7KI, VA3, net control returning. Okay, Michael, good to hear from you. Yeah, that sounds like it's going to be a little bit warm there for you. But actually, I'm curious. You say so you're getting electricity from the generator. Is that propane or diesel or gasoline? Over to you.
Well, we don't use a whole lot of power here. We have a 2,000-watt Honda gas generator that we've been using for a long time, but my wife can't crank it. So every time that she had to fire the thing up, she'd have to ask somebody around to do it for her. So I picked up a 3,000-watt Honda self-starting generator, so that's what we use. Unfortunately, we don't use a lot of current, so running that thing is expensive. Only got 30 amps going into our battery bank, and it goes into our inverter as well. So I'm changing things over so that when the generator fires up, the inverter goes off. We're not running the inverter off the batteries during the time we're charging them, and getting a big enough bank of batteries. I've got 8 to 180 amp hour deep cycle Trojan batteries that will take over our load, and hopefully we'll only have to run the generator on rainy days, at least in the summertime. In the wintertime, it's not too bad, but we'll end up with 180 amps of charge for them as well. So while the generator's running, it'll actually be under load and not just free running like it has been. And I heard you say something about code. I've known code a long time. I got my license in '68 and did my code test as well. You can't contest very well without code. You can't make the amount of contacts that you can with code. Even with FT8, you're only making a tenth of the contacts in an hour that you can make using Morse code. So if you really want to know how your system works, if you really want to know who you can talk to and when you can talk to them, then code's worth learning. It's not a language. You don't have to be musical. You already know the alphabet. You just have to figure out how to learn the code. We have the courses online as well. VE7KI.
VE7KI, VE3 today, net controller training. Okay, Michael, it sounds like an interesting setup there. With the battery bank, maybe that'll give you the, I guess with a top up where you're topping up with solar, and that kind of will smooth things out for you, and cut back on the generator stuff. It's very interesting. Yeah, and the code too. That's like I say, that's something, when I hear it, I wish I knew it. So maybe one of these days I'll get around to learning it. I know a lot of these HTs actually have little training programs on them too. I don't know how useful they are, but I'm kind of curious about that, to see how that's implemented on this HT I have. But well, thank you very much for joining us in the 7-3 round there, Michael. And let's go down to Mark, VE3 VDF. Mark, come on in. Over to you.
VE3MA and net controller, VE3 VDF fraternity. Good evening, everyone on net there. Sounds like you got a pretty good net. I got in a little bit late there, but anyway, very good. Really sudden change in the temperature down here at Leamington, and down the north shores of Lake Erie, and the temperature-wise, and I really have too much else for the net there, so I got something pretty good. I'm using the latest version of Echolink, so the new update, so on there, that's what I'm using right now, anyway, very good. The name here is Mark, Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo. I think I checked in before. That was some time ago, last year, I think it was, and stuff like that, maybe even before, so anyway, I'll turn it back to you there. VE3MA and net controller for VE3 VDF.
VE3 VDF, VA3A net controller training. Mark, yeah, was VA3MA he did check in actually, but my call sign is VA3AZA. But good to hear from you. I think I recall speaking with you last year. Maybe it's possible. I do. It's your QTH, and the last three letters of your call sign, they kind of ring a bell with me. North Shore of Lake Erie and VDF. So, I think we have spoken before. And we're glad you made it back. Remember, we're here every Tuesday, 8:30 to whenever we finish, and anyone's welcome to join. So it was good to hear from you. Okay, let's see if there's anyone else out there. I've got I have two call signs here. At the end of the 7-3 round, let's see if there's anyone else. If you're out there and you'd like to join us at the end of the 7-3 round, the Mississauga Amateur Radio Club 2-meter net, come now, please. Your call sign spelled phonetically, followed by your first name. Okay, nothing heard. Nothing heard on that last call, and I guess we'll close up the net now. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. If you have any comments, thoughts, or suggestions, you can contact us via email at VE3MIS at RAC.ca. That's Victor Echo 3 Mike India Sierra at Romeo Alpha Charlie Charlie Alpha. This is Victor Alpha 3 Alpha Zulu Alpha, Brian, closing the net and returning the repeater to general use in, actually it'll hang on to Echolink for about 13 more minutes or so, and then it'll return to general use. Thank you all for your participation, and 7-3.